What's going on YouTube, and welcome to episode 2 of the U.S.S. Cerritos tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in to today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And today we're going to be picking up right where we left off from episode 2. We're going to be getting a lot of prep work done on our saucer section. We're going to be focusing on our inner rings and getting some hull lines in on our ship. So what we're going to need is a pixel circle generator, and you're going to want to input 41 by 41. And I didn't talk about this a lot in my last episode, but I want to take a moment to talk about it in this one, because I'm sure at some point someone's going to ask me how I find the center and figuring out exactly where my the placement for my circle. And basically the way that I do that is old school. I just count out from the dead center. So in this case, we only need to go 20 out, and on the 20th row is where we're going to start our circle. And again, we're going off of the same principle as last episode, that we're only going to need 1/4 of our pi right here. So we're going to jump right into it in just a moment. And not a super long video today, about 36 minutes. So we're going to go to the dead center of our saucer, and we're going to start putting blocks down. We're going to count out to 20, and then we're going to start our circle. And this circle that we're adding is going to be the prep work for more or less where the bridge area is going to go, and then 2 blocks out from this, going out to the edge of the saucer, we're going to have to do a ring of yellow as well for the pinstripe. And you can see I'm counting out 20 in all 4 directions, because we're going to have to build this, in all 4 corners. So you can go ahead and do that now if you want to. I'm just going by the principle, if I do one thing on one side, do it on the other. But if you feel confident enough that you can just do one side without making any mistakes, feel free to do that. We're just going to bang this out real quick. But this build wasn't really super difficult. There was 1 or 2 parts on it where I did have some problems on the upper hull behind the bridge, like there's slopes. Like, it was a real pain in the butt to get that. And then the pylons that hold the lower hull onto the engines, that was a pain in the butt to get. One other thing that we're going to have issues with when I get into the interior is that there's going to be no way for us to make a turbo lift going down to our lower hull. When I start doing the interior, I'll get into that and show you exactly why. But basically, even if we built the ship twice the size that it currently is, you would end up with a rink-dink staircase going at a sloped angle. And we won't be able to do that. But I'm still going to be building out the lower hull as well as the saucer section as much as I possibly can. I've got a ton of screenshots on the interior that I plan on using. But the question is, what are some things that you would like to see from the Cerritos that you liked from Lower Decks? What rooms for the interior would you like to see on this ship? Definitely sound off in the comments section below. I'd love to hear your input on that. Going to try to flesh out a ton of stuff. I know one thing that I definitely really I want to build, even though it's going to be simple, and I think I'm actually going to build a couple of them just because I'm going to have the space to do it, is a holodeck. I think that's going to be kind of cool to do. I'm going to have, I think, one where it's just the plain black and yellow grid room, and then I might have another one where it's like on, and like I'll build like a simulation out for that. And I think that would be kind of cool. But I definitely really want to do that because that's something that I want to do on my Enterprise D, because that was such a focal point on that show. And obviously, it turned out to be a focal point in some cases on Lower Decks. So I'm excited to do that. But you can see here, getting back in a little bit what we got going on here. Almost done with our circle. And I'm just going from all 4 sides, building out a little bit, and then repeating the same process again on the other 3 remaining sides. But doing it at this pace, we're really rocking and rolling. Trying to do this tutorial a little bit differently from how I did the Discovery, where I'm trying to show as much as I can in a single video without it being super long. Because I know that when I did the discovery, there were some parts that lingered on a little bit, and that was just my own shortcomings in doing tutorials. But I think I learned a little bit from doing that, and I've gotten a little bit better. And still, there was going to be things that I'm going to learn from doing this tutorial, and hopefully, as I do this, I'll get better at it. Because this is something that I definitely plan on doing indefinitely. I've been getting a ton of responses from the comments section from people within the YouTube community that take the time to comment on my videos. Just want to make a shout out to you. You guys are awesome, uh, guys and ladies, and everyone that is commenting the ship ideas. I think that's awesome because there's going to be a ton of stuff that's going to be coming out on the channel in the future. I'm definitely 100% doing the Enterprise D after this build. If you're excited about that, let me know about it in the comments section. What some of the things that you're most looking forward to seeing me doing with that build, and what other builds you'd like to see me do. And for whatever reason, if um, I don't get to your build right away, don't let that discourage you, because I will eventually get to it. Because again, this is something I plan on doing indefinitely. All right, so we've got. Let me go back just a little bit because I went kind of fast there. So now we're going to be going to adding a second ring. So now we're going to be inputting 45 by 45 and taking a screenshot of that and going back towards our center here. Now this is going to be super easy. We're just going to count out 2, and then on the third row is where we're going to start our next line. And we're actually going to be doing this in yellow. And for all the blocks that we're going to be using for this build, we're using concrete blocks. Pretty sure I mentioned that in episode 1, but pretty much all my ship builds at this point, I use concrete blocks. I think they just come out a heck of a lot smoother. Definitely get a cleaner look on your ship. Uh, when I'm using the half blocks, I'm using the quartz half slabs. Uh, but we'll get into that when we start using those. But no, I really like the concrete blocks. It gives it a nice clean look. And right now we're trying to replicate that nice pinstripe that the Cerritos has. That definitely makes it unique. Something that you only see on the California class ships. I actually really dig the design of the Cerritos and what they did with it. And granted, there's a couple of things that I have an issue with, specifically not being able to get down in the lower hull. I think that for what it is, the Cerritos has a beautiful design, but it's still like it's maybe missing a neck. Like if they had like a practical version of it in the real world, they ever did like a live action call out to the show or call out to that ship on a show, I feel like they would probably have to add a neck on it just to make it feasible to get down into that area. Um, but other than that, I really dig what they did with it. This was, it was just a really fun build to do, and I got this done, I think, in just over 2 weeks that I've been working on this, because I had finished it Sunday, right when I recorded episode 1. Because I finished it Sunday afternoon, and then Sunday night I was recording episode 1. But still have a lot to do on this build. Nonetheless, I've started the interior. I've already done the corridors. That's pretty much done, but there's still a heck of a lot of stuff I have to do on this ship. Um, and some figuring out, because I have some blueprints, which is going to be helpful, but there's still a couple of things that I'm not 100% sure on. Like where the engineering is, like from the blueprints, it almost looks like the engineering is underneath the bridge, kind of based off of what the actual engineering looks like as opposed to screenshots. But I'm going to look around and see if I can find some more solid information on that. Because even though I do take liberties when I'm doing my ship interiors, I do try to keep them as accurate as I can where I can. So that's something, if I can help it, I definitely don't want to mess that up. But I don't think, for the most part, we should have too many problems with the interior. The corridors actually came out pretty cool. They're not super complicated to do. they were easier than the Discovery corridors because they kind of have like that next generation vibe to them. So they're more of like a box or like a square than having like the curves. So um, it wasn't too bad, but the design of it overall came out really cool. And it's like really, it's like a shout out to like next gen corridors. And again, there's just so many reasons why I picked this ship because when I do the Enterprise D, that's going to be a pretty challenging build, and I'm hoping that end up getting a lot of views and new subscribers out of the Cerritos and Enterprise D. I feel like both those ships are really relevant right now as far as in Star Trek and whatnot. And there's other stuff that I want to do too. I've been having other people ask me about doing the Discovery A. That's something that I would like to do. Um, but at this point, I'm waiting for some more screenshots to come out of the ship. They've got a couple, but I think it might take it to like maybe get to close to the rest of the season or something before I think about doing something like that. Um, because I mean, even with what they showed this past week, they showed a lot, but like there was a couple of areas like that's a little bit gray because it looks like they made some changes to the back end of the neck and like blew it out kind of like the Enterprise D from what I could see in the screenshots. So I kind of want to wait a little bit until we get a little bit more information on it, but I'm pretty certain that's going to happen because I've had some people ask me about doing a tutorial on the Discovery, and that was one of those ships that I did not, build it in a tutorial fashion. So that's definitely something that's going to happen, I think. But again, I just I want to wait till I have a little bit of content to back up to make sure that it comes out as accurate as it can. But still, again, we got a lot of stuff coming out on the YouTube channel. I'm really excited about, and what I'm curious about too is what everyone thinks about Star Trek Lower Decks. Since we are working on the Cerritos, what are some of your favorite things about the show? And let me know in the comments section. We'll have a discussion about it. Definitely going to see me talking about it more. Um, I was even considering maybe starting kind of like a loose podcast based off of and talking about the episodes. If that's something you'd like to see and talking about it, let me know in the comments section because I'd really be interested in to hear what everyone on the channel feels about that. Because there's a lot of different things I would like to do on my YouTube channel, but I want to base that off what everybody would like to see. Um, but with that being said, don't think that anything that I'm doing right now is going to go away. If anything, I'm going to be doing more tutorial videos and stuff like that, more builds. But still, I feel like there's a couple of different things that I can do on the channel. So if there's some things that you would be interested in seeing me doing or talking about, let me know in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. And as we move in trying to grow the YouTube channel, because I've really just even within the past 6 months, I've gotten over 200 new subscribers, which is freaking awesome. I really didn't think that I was going to get that many new subscribers kind of that quickly. I really thought it was going to be a little bit more of a grind, and it still has. I've been really trying to get over that 500 mark and even getting in close to like the 1,000 range. Um, so, I mean, if you know people that like building and they're into Star Trek, help me out and share my videos. I'd definitely be appreciative of that. And I try to provide as much quality content as I can and not just giving useless information. I do want to hop back in a little bit what I got going on here. You can see that we are starting out our hull lines, and we're going to be doing this in every single um, cut that we can make from the center. Now, I believe later on I do take these lines out because as I was looking at more pictures of the Cerritos, like it really you don't see lines like this on it. Like it's another ship. Like it really um, it has like a real clean look to it. So for that reason, I decided to take these out. But I've noticed as I've been doing these builds that some people have different tastes. So when I'm doing stuff like this, in some cases, I'll build it out a little bit so you can get a look at it. And if you like it, you can incorporate it into your build. And I think this is one of those cases. I don't think that having this on the ship would be like a make it or break it. It was just more of a personal preference to me because I've actually seen 3D models of this ship that has these hull lines. So if you were looking to maybe do like a more realistic version of it as opposed to the animated version, like how it actually looked, you can definitely get away with this, I think. But I think for what I was trying to accomplish with this build, I was really just trying to stick to what we saw on the show as much as I possibly could. We're essentially just adding another X on our saucer, but now just going at an angle, at a perfect angle out. And doing it at this angle will save you from making any mistakes. We're only going to be adding 4 of them. We've got 2 more to do. As long as you start it out from your center, like I'm doing here, you know, of course, want to make sure that's level with the other rows that you're adding. You shouldn't be able to make a mistake. Because again, you know, there's certain rules that I follow. This is one of those cases, and it definitely will save you from making mistakes as you go. So I've got a 2 wide gap in between this row and this gray line, and I'm going to be doing this pinstripe going at the same angle all the way back. Because on the top and bottom row of the Cerritos, well, we're working on the top row actually, but they both have a similar pinstripe. It's just that on the top row, it's a little bit skinnier, and then on the bottom row, well, the saucer's a little bit, the yellow ring is a little bit skinnier on the top as opposed to the bottom. That's what I'm trying to say. So now we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to go 2 out, get rid of the access. Then we're just going to bring this all the way back and delete the extra blocks as we go. And now we've got a clear established front on our ship. When we zoom out, it'll become a little bit more clear. As you can see, I'm really rocking and rolling on this build. I think when I was on the Discovery or on the Discovery Enterprise on episode 2, I think we were still just working on the slope of the ring, which we haven't done on this build. So I mean, again, we're working on different things, but I think we've gotten a lot more done as opposed to that tutorial. And I want to try to keep that going as much as I possibly can. I hope in the way that I recorded this that transitions all the way through. But I think we'll be in pretty good shape. All right. So now we're on the back end of our ship. This is the front. My girlfriend pointed out to me, you go up in there, almost looks like a peace sign. Some of this may not make that much sense to you if you've never done a ship build before, but it will. We're literally just laying out foundation for things that we're going to be doing later on. And this yellow ring just in between the gray cuts on the back end, we're going to be getting rid of. Because the Cerritos does not have that stripe on the back end. On the upper side of the saucer, it's only on the front. So you should have something that looks just like that. You'll be asking yourself why I'm doing the pinstriping now. And again, one of those reasons is just simply because I like to get all my circles done as close to the beginning as possible, because the pixel circle generator portion of it can be very tedious. So now we're on the back end of our ship. We're adding a row. We've gone two out on a third row. We're literally just replicating the ring that's in front of it. And we're doing prep work for where there's going to be a slope transition on the backside of the saucer section, which is probably going to be one of the most difficult parts on the build. It's going to look a little bit confusing. You're going to want to make sure you do this in the same order that I'm doing this in. It is important uh, because this can definitely make it or break it on your build if you wait to do this later. It was actually interesting because when I was filling in and blending in the lower hull, I surprisingly had almost no problems with it. It was when I got up here to the upper hull that I had a couple of issues here and there. And it wasn't as far as like the order and how I built it in. It was just it was a pain in the butt to get everything to blend in together and to get it to look close to how it would look in the picture. Are we swapping that out? So this way we'll have 3 rows. 2. I think it looks a little bit better. Because this back ring here does not need to match the yellow. Because when we fill in this upper hull, they're not even going to be at the same height. To be perfectly honest with you. You see off camera I've added another row to the saucer, the outer lip, going all the way around below. Don't want to do that above, want to do that below. I don't recall if I mentioned that in the last episode. I'm pretty sure that I did, but if I did not, that's something you definitely want to do at this point. Don't need to actually go over that, but I want to make a point to bring that up. So this way, when we pick up some of the stuff we have coming up in the future, it won't be any issue when you do that. So just want to make sure that right now the outer ring is only 2 thick. And we should be in really good shape. I've been pretty good about editing this stuff out. I think this is the only time that you'll see me transition into another part. But that's because right now I'm going to be pulling up screenshots. And this, to give you an idea more of what we've been working on, this is what we just built. This ring right here. And we're going to be getting ready in a moment. I don't work. I think we'll be doing these other rings, actually. All right, let's bring that down a little bit. Sometimes I do like to work with a picture on the screen so I can visually look at it. I usually have it on my phone, but um, in this case, in this specific area, and this is the part right here, this wall, this is where I had the most problem with on this build. And it's not something we're going to get into today, but we will get into that. It was just a pain in the butt to get this to come out right. So now we've gone back all the way back. We're in the center, and we've gone counted 2 in on the third row. Now we're going to do another row of a quarter circle. We're literally just going to be repeating what's on this back row right in front of us. You're not going to see me adding in these sections. You won't see me straying as far as what I'm talking about, because this is parts I do want to focus on, because I do feel that there's some parts that I can talk about different things, um, whether it's related to Star Trek or future builds. because there'll be instances where I'm working on something where it's not necessarily needed to be explained. But right here, there's going to be certain spots where I'm going to definitely want to make a point to talk about it because you can definitely make mistakes here and there. But having you set up building three back on the third row is where we're building this, and this is pretty much foolproof. We're literally just copying the row that's directly in front of us. And you can imagine it now. The row that's directly in front of us is this aqua strip right here, and the row that we're building right here is that right there. Perfect. So now we're going to do the same thing on the right side. You can see I cheated a little bit right here. I did not use a pixel circle generator. And the reason for that is because this is probably one spot on the ship that I can get away with it because we're not building a full circle. We're just building a chunk of it. So with it coming in like this, it's not going to look out of place at all. It's going to look really good. So I actually made a mistake there. I went past where I was supposed to build because we're only building within these gray cuts. So if you built out past that like I did, we're going to have to bring it back. We're going to have to bring it on back a little bit. That's okay. Got a little overzealous. Just got to check myself a little bit. Got to calm down, and I'm getting excited because, this was a very fun build. But man, let's just say that some mistakes might have happened. I even started in the wrong spot. So we're going to try that again. Now we're on the back side of our ship, 2.0. And we're just going to do the same thing. Want to make sure that we stay within these gray cuts, though. Don't want to build out past that. But we'll see them coming up. That was a mistake on my part, but I make these mistakes, hopefully, so you don't have to. We're just going to be working within these two gray cuts right here. Imagine that's right, actually, this gray line right there. That's what it would actually be. Again, we're just going to copy the circle that's directly in front of us. So far, looking pretty good. All right. We actually did what we were supposed to do at that time. Now we just got to do the same thing on the left side, and we'll be in good shape. And we are jamming through this episode. We've already shot through 26 minutes like it was nothing. We were down to the last 10 minutes of this episode. Those of you that have stayed with me, I greatly appreciate it. Trying to get to a point where I can get people to start watching my videos all the way through. And again, just trying to provide quality content. If there's things that you'd like to see me talk about, be sure to sound off in the comment section so I can incorporate that into my tutorials and my videos. So I'm trying to get better at these videos as I go, and the only way that I can do that is by hearing from the community. And everybody on my channel is awesome. I think I've got a fantastic community of subscribers that really give me just honest and sound feedback as far as the stuff that they're seeing on my channel and the stuff that you want to see. So I definitely trust you on the things that you would mention to me. So definitely let me know about that in the comments section. So now we're going to be adding a third row. We're going to be repeating the same process. We're just going to be counting 3 back. On that third row, we're going to be building our next row of circle. So we're essentially building this row right now. And going by the same rule, we're only going to build out to that gray line. Once we get to that gray hull line, we're going to stop. And I am kind of breaking my rule here because you will hear me say all the time that to not wing your circle. I'm technically winging it. Even though I'm copying a pre-existing circle, I am technically winging it. But the fact that we're only going to be seeing a fraction of the circle, it's not going to look bad. I think it'll look great. It's something I've definitely noticed on these ships as I've been doing them is that every single ship definitely presents its own challenges. And I definitely foresee that happening in the future, especially as I move away from um, doing just Constitution class ships. Because if you look at my YouTube channel, for the most part, in the beginning, I mean, it was just a lot of the Enterprise, and now I've been able to branch out and do other ships, and that has a lot to do with the community. Again, everybody that's taken the time to watch my videos and um, that enjoy them enough to ask me for new ones. It's really cool, and I've been like, you really don't know how excited I've been to really do this tutorial because I really feel that this is a way for me to show some of the things that I can do on Minecraft, where I'm not just building the Enterprise. So again, if there's other stuff you want to see me build, sound off in the comments section. You can see that I made a mistake right there. I'm going to fix that. And that's just the only way we can spot that out, by zooming out and looking at what we just did. And I'm almost pretty certain that I might have done that on the right side as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the right side and look at my mistake, which I did. And I'm just going to fix that right there. Boom, boom, perfect. So this way all 3 rows match. And that doesn't look bad. So we've got our 3 rows. They kind of look a little bit more spaced out here. We'll get into that, trust me. But I think we've got a pretty solid base to work off of here. We've actually gotten a lot of our prep work done. It doesn't look like it, but um, this is, the beans and gravy of wireframing your ships out. This is, I'd say, more of an advanced version of it. Now we're going to do another row, counting 2 back, and on the 3rd row, we're going to do another ring that we just repeated 2 previous times, or 3 previous times at this point. Getting kind of confused at how many I've done. We've done a whole bunch of them at this point. When I zoom out, we'll get our count. But I think that we're at 3 now. That is something that's definitely a challenge too when you're doing these ships. It can become very easy to get confused. All right, perfect. That's our 3rd row. So now we're going to do the same thing on the left side. This was actually a great way for me to start to visualize how my ship was going to start to come together. Because with having these lines here, believe it or not, I mean, at least for me anyway, I can start, when I zoom out and I look at my ship, like what we have right now, I can start to visualize where the layering is going to come in, where it's like, okay, I could see this part right here. This is one layer. And then this next row, this is another layer. And I'm starting to just map it out in my head, and then out here, kind of like how it's all going to have to blend in. But this is why it's definitely important to do this stuff now and prep it out as much as you can, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're just winging it, because then it's not going to come out nearly as good. So you definitely want to take the time like we're doing. And I say we because we're building this ship together, and hopefully you stick with me through the rest of this tutorial because I've definitely got some cool stuff to come. And now we're going to be doing another row, and this one is actually 3 back, and it'll be on the 4th row is where we're going to start building. I just wanted to count that out and double check. Yeah, so we're counting 3 back, and then on the 4th is where we'll start the build. And I'm just going to repeat the same process again. I don't recall off the top of my head if I keep all of these. I think one of them might actually be adjusted, but um, for the sake of this tutorial at this point, let's add them because, again, this is going to help us to visualize what we need to shift around if we need to shift around anything. Because that is definitely one of the challenges when you're doing a ship like this, or any ship on Minecraft. I mean, you're not going to find a blueprint for it. And that's something that I definitely do get asked from time to time if I've got a blueprint that I can upload to show everybody. And I mean, to be honest with you, this is my blueprint that I'm doing right now. This is all I really have. And as I've built this ship out, I've just literally created it as I've gone, and I've really tried to plan it as much as I can and build it in an order that makes sense and it's not too confusing. But I do wish that I had a blueprint. It would definitely make life a lot easier on here as far as building goes. But I still enjoy the challenge on building in Minecraft because of the blocks. It's a lot of fun and relaxing in a lot of different ways. All right, so now we're going to move to smooth quartz half slabs, and we're going to be going along the lip, top side and bottom side of our outer ring. You want to be doing this on the inside. Now, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm only going to be doing about a quarter of it, but you're going to want to do the whole circle all the way around with half slabs just going along the lip, and make sure to mind your cuts. You want to be building out and stopping with your cuts and deleting your access just like I'm doing. Then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom row. Once you've done that, you're going to go behind that with full blocks, white quartz, right behind it. We're actually going to be doing this for both the top and bottom. This is going to help us to slowly start to make our ship become 3D. And I actually, if you saw in episode 1 where I showed you the teaser of the finished Cerritos, if you go back and pause the episode in the beginning when I show the ship, I think the saucer shape is about spot on. So now we're going to be doing the half slabs on the underside. Again, I'm minding my cuts and build right up to this cut line. We're going to go back and then over and then delete the extra. I'm going to do this going all the way around the saucer. I'll do a little bit on this side. Again, making sure to mind my cuts. And then right behind that, then we're going to do a row of white concrete blocks all the way around. And now what we'll have is a nice transition, which is the first transition on our hull. We'll be off to a good start. When we come back tomorrow, this will already be done. We'll just snap to the next part. So this will be the last thing that you guys and girls will want to, well, guys and ladies, excuse me, will want to do in this episode. But I think that's going to wrap it up for us. We've gotten a lot done today. I think everybody should be proud of yourselves, the amount of work that we've accomplished in 2 episodes. I know I'm very excited with the progress that I've made in such a short period of time. And I just want to thank you again for tuning into today's video. And if you did enjoy this content, if you could please help me out and hit that like and subscribe button, I would be forever grateful. I can't thank you enough for everybody that takes the time to watch my videos and comments on them. And if you can hit that like button and subscribe and share the video, that would be awesome. And also, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget you can always catch new Minecraft episodes Tuesdays through Fridays. And you can always catch my new Starship Evo builds on Mondays. Lastly, if you have any questions regarding this build, if I wasn't specific enough on something, or if you got stuck on something, maybe you got stuck on the spacing somewhere, drop a comment below. I'll try to see what I can do to help you out as much as I possibly can. Usually pretty responsive in the comment section. If I don't answer your comment directly, I promise I more than likely will answer in a video. If I haven't answered it already, so you definitely check the comment section. And also, what ships do you want to see me build in the future? Drop a comment below. Love to hear from you. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. Just want to thank you all again for tuning in. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I will catch you on the next video.